Welcome to the PortaCount Academy, and thank you for attending ResFit 305, the creation and modification of FitPro reports. My name is John Morton, and my email address is john.morton@tsi.com. In this course, we're going to be discussing the reporting functions available through the FitPro software. We'll discuss the modification of reports, default reports, and the modification of user-created reports. As we proceed through this course, you may notice this yellow arrow up here. This represents a left mouse click with your computer mouse. Now, it may be helpful for you to follow along as we go through this course. If you do have another laptop that you're going to follow along with or another computer, go ahead and power that on now. But we do want to make sure that we've got a computer with the FitPro software installed on it in order to proceed with following through. Another thing to consider is that we may want to have data in our FitPro database. Some of the features that I'm going to show you here are not going to be available unless you already have fit test data in the database. So again, like I said, if you if you are going to be referencing another computer while you watch the webinar, go ahead, make sure that computer is turned on now and that the FitPro software is already installed. So as we get started, I want to go over a couple of terms that you're going to hear a lot throughout this course. And it's best to define these terms now and hopefully help to prevent any confusion later on. A record is a set of data. In our case, this set of data would be from the people record. It could be from a people record, it could be from a respirator record, whatever it may be. Or it could be from a fit test record. Okay, so those are all records we could have. The table is where those records reside. So the people records would reside in the people table. The fit test records would reside in the fit test table, so on and so forth. The report is where our attention is going to be focused in this webinar, and it is simply a way of showing or displaying those records from the various tables in a fashion that's easier for us to read and arrange. Note that the report is not the actual data or records or table. It's just a visual representation of those things. Anything we change in the report function, edit, delete, create, it doesn't matter. None of it will actually affect the data. It can all be undone. To better define the structure of the FitPro database, I have these two graphics. As you can see from the lower graphic, the database is kind of the main component for where the data is drawn from, and everything is sort of subsequent to it. So the default FitPro database is fitprodata.mdf, and the FitPro active database is always listed across the very top of the FitPro title bar. So within each database are the tables we mentioned, and within each of those tables are the records we talked about, the people records, the respirator records, the fit test records. And then within each record we have various data fields. For example, in the people record we would have the person's last name, first name, ID number. Those are all data fields within that people record. Now, again, the graphic at the top here is sort of a structural breakdown of how that occurs. Now, it doesn't show all the tables, and it doesn't show all the record fields available under each table either, but it does go through kind of the most obvious ones. Again, for example, if you wanted just respirator information, you would find that under the respirator table. Under the fit test table, you would find the person's information along with the mask that they were fit tested in and the results of those fit test records. So it's kind of all of them put together. Now via your computer we're going to open the FitPro fit test software. This is typically done in one of two ways. Either by double-clicking on the FitPro icon displayed on your desktop, or by opening your Windows Start menu, going to All Programs, TSI Incorporated, the FitPro folder, and then clicking on the FitPro icon as shown here. Some of the screen captures I have here do come from Windows 7 and Windows XP, depending on the screen capture. But just know that if you have a different operating system, you're going to be seeing something very, very similar. It should just be slightly different. Now, some but not all of you are going to see this window appear when you open the FitPro software. This window would appear if the circled checkbox had not been checked. If you happen to use the same active database each time you run FitPro, it may be more convenient for you to simply check this box. In this case, you'll be bypassing this window in the future. But either way, just for right now, go ahead and click OK. Again, the FitPro software first opens up. It prompts you to run the daily checks. If you're able to follow along with us, for the purpose of this class, I just want you to click on No. We don't need to run the daily checks at this time. Now, in the title bar in the FitPro software, near the top above the icons, go to Report and then click on Single Fit Test Report. Or I'm sorry, click on Single Fit Test. This is likely the most convenient place to go to review old fit test records and fit test results. We're going to take this screen section by section, and I'm going to review the available features rather than kind of stepping you through each one. Here we see the people, respirator, and protocol used during the fit test. Those of you familiar with the fit testing process will recognize these as the first 3 steps before beginning a fit test. In the middle, we see notes that were entered into the people table, and we see which PortaCount Pro unit was used, along with what passing fit factor was used, and what the overall fit factor was. Now keep in mind that the overall fit factor is what OSHA is concerned with. OSHA is not concerned with the fit factor for each and every individual exercise. And also notice that you can view the results for each exercise by selecting the View Results button. To the far right, we'll find the options for searching for particular records. For example, if you wanted to search for fit tests only associated with a specific last name, rather than scrolling through the entire table, you could define a search value for it. Sorry. You'll also see the delete option. In the rare circumstances where you may need to delete or remove an already existing fit test, this is where you could make that happen. And then lastly, you'll see the print options, where we can print a card or print a report related to the fit test that's selected. So at this point, we can exit out of the single fit test report window, and we're going to move on to the more advanced reporting features. At the top of the FitPro window, again, above the icons, I want you to go to Report, but then this time I want you to go to Select Report. In this Select Report screen, we can access reports, modify reports, and create user-defined reports. And again, we're going to take this screen into different sections. On the left-hand side, top section, we see a listing of the pre-populated reports, which are default to the FitPro software. You'll notice that there's a report relating to each of the tables: people, respirator, fit test, etc. You'll also see that we have some predefined reports, such as next due and a past due report, which are based off of the dates in your fit test table. Any user-defined report will be listed here as well, and we're going to go through the process of creating one of those in just a minute. At the bottom, we're going to see which FitPro or which active FitPro database is currently selected and how many records are shown in that report. On the right-hand side, we see the options for viewing, creating, and modifying reports. We'll begin with viewing a report. Fairly simple. The people report should already be selected. So if you would like to see that report, just click on View Report. Here we see the results of the people report, and across the top of the report we see the titles of the columns. Again, we're looking at the people report, so the information we're going to see: last name, first name, ID number, company, and location. To the right, you will see options to print these reports, view the print preview screen, and the option to select the printer under Print Setup. I'm not going to go through each of these options, as the screens that appear are going to be dependent on your computer settings. And they should be similar to print functions you would find in any other program on your computer. Sort of an interesting fact to throw out there is that software packages such as FitPro or even Microsoft Word, etc., do not actually get to control any printing. Printing is always controlled by the Windows operating system. These programs just offer an access point, for lack of better words, to the Windows print options. Next, we'll move on to a user-defined report. And the examples I use in this class obviously do not represent the vast array of different report creating options. I would tell everyone again, feel free to play around with this create function. Keep in mind, affecting these reports does not affect the data, so there's no real repercussions here for making a mistake. It can all be undone. So at this point, click on Create New Report. After we select Create New Report, we are asked what we want to name that report. Now in this example, I want to create a report that just has the people's first and last name and the respirator that they were fit tested in. So I'm going to name my report employee_mask, because that's the information I want, the employee's name and the mask they were fit tested in. Once I have the name chosen, I just need to click on Next. Now in this case, if we want the person's name and the respirator that they were fit tested in, the only table that has that information, where that information would come together, is the fit test table. So I'm going to select the fit test table, and then I'm going to click on Next. Now, just know that if you're not sure where you want the data to come from, you're not sure if you need to use the people or the respirator table, which are the two most common, select the fit test table. Again, this is kind of where all that information comes together, so there's a good chance that it's the fit test table that will provide you the information you're looking for. We can now choose up to 6 data fields that we would like to include in this report. This relates to the columns that we saw previously when we viewed the people report. We only had 5 columns in that report, but we can have up to 6. Now, as I said previously, I want the person's name and the respirator they were fit tested in. So first I'm going to choose the last name field. I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to click on Add. And I will see that that will now appear, last name now appears in column 1 of the selected fields. I also want the person's first name, so I'm going to click in the first name field. And again, I'm going to click on Add and see that appear in column 2. I also need the respirator they were fit tested in. And I want the manufacturer, model, and everything. So I'm just going to choose the RESP name, okay, because that RESP name is going to include the make and model of the respirator. Again, I'm going to click on Add, so that appears in column 3. Now, in this case, I also want mask size. Obviously, every fit test is according to one person and one specific make, model, and size of respirator. So I'm going to click on mask size, and I'm going to add that field as well. Now, that's column 4. I do have 2 more columns here that I could utilize if I wanted to. But in my example here, I'm happy with what I've got, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Next. Now we have the option to select specific criteria for determining which records will appear in the report. So for fun, because creating reports is always a lot of fun, I want to only have the people records from a specific location. So for example, I might have 3 different firehouses or 3 different plants or different hospitals, and let's just say I need the data from only one of those locations. So I would click on Choose Selected Records, and then the fields below will become available to me. Then in the data field to the far left, I select location. Note that even though I didn't choose location as a column that would appear on my report, I can still use this data field to narrow down which records will appear in the report because this record, or this field, exists in the fit test table. I will then leave the middle as equal to, and then choose plant 3 for the value necessary on the far right. So the statement would read as location equal to plant 3, or only show me people that are associated with plant 3. Now we can click on next. Now it's going to ask you which field you'd like to sort by. In this case, let's assume we want the people listed alphabetically according to last name. So select last name and click on add. Note that you can sort by more than just one item. For example, if I have multiple fit tests with different masks for one employee, I could choose to sort alphabetically by last name and then also add resp name as a sort field. So each person would show up in alphabetical order, and then for each person the masks they were fit tested in would be in alphabetical order. I can also choose, if I were to select test date as an option that would appear in this report, I could choose the same thing there. Last name, and then choose test date. In our case, last name will work just fine, so I click on next. And at this point, we should be, once again, looking at the Select Report window, and we can see our newly created report now listed, employee_mask. So I go ahead and I select that report and I click on View Report. Here we see the 4 data fields we asked for. Name, respirator, make and model, and the size of the mask. And they're in alphabetical order. Now we'll wrap up with modifying reports. And this can be done to the FitPro default report as well as with user-defined reports. Makes no difference. We can modify all of them. So we select the people record for report for now, and then we click on Modify Report. This is the same screen we just encountered a short while ago while creating a user-defined report. But here we're going to make the equation a bit more complicated. Let's assume for the purpose of practice, I want a report of the people, but only those people with the last names that begin with the letter D and go through the letter J. Click on Selected Records to make the necessary fields below available. For the first part of this statement or equation, I want to choose the last name as the field to define this report. In this case, I want only last names with the letter D or greater. So, just as an example, I'm going to choose greater than. I could choose greater than or equal to, and we're going to see how that plays in later. But again, for this particular example, I'm just going to choose greater than. And since I only want last names beginning with the letter D or greater, I will choose Christopher, as that is the last name with the letter C. So Christopher will not appear because I'm saying I only want records greater than this record, which begins with letter C. But now we need to add a second part to the equation because we want to cap the report at the letter J. So to do that, I need to select the AND statement in the middle, and this makes the fields near the bottom of the window available. So again, we will choose last name as the data field we're going to use to discriminate, and in this case, I'm going to choose the less than or equal to statement. and I will choose the name Jordan, as this is the last J name that is listed. And because I chose or equal to, Jordan will appear in the report. So we can now read the statement as this report will contain those records with the peoples whose last name are greater than C or Christopher and a last name less than or equal to J or Jordan. Now this same technique could be used in our other reports as well. For example, if I was using the fit test table, I could discriminate by fit test date. Choose only those people fit tested in a specific set of months or even by a specific make and model of mask. Once again, after I click Next, the same screen we came across earlier during the creation process of our user-defined report, I get to choose how do we want to sort this report. And I'm going to choose last name. Actually, last name is selected by default. You can choose a different one if you would like. In this case, last name will work out fine, so I'm going to click on Next. And now we're again looking at that Select Report screen, and I can show you an immediate difference that you may not have noticed. On the left-hand side, we see what this Select Report screen looked like before we did any modifications. And we see that the people table is selected and it had 39 records. But now that we have modified the report to only show a certain range of last names, we are only seeing 10 records. Remember, the records and data are not actually gone. We're only looking at a few of them, though. We can now select View Report again to see how this report will look. And we see that we are sorted again by the person's last name, and we only have those records with the last names beginning at D and ending at J. So click Exit, and we're going to reset this people report. Again, we're going to make sure the people report is still selected, and now we're going to click on Modify Report again. But this time, we're just going to click on All Records, and we're going to see the fields below become grayed out. After that, we're going to click on Next. Again, it is going to ask us how do we want to sort, and last name works fine, so we can click on Next. And now we're back at that very same Select Reports window. And we're looking at only 10 records before when we had made that modification. Now we're back to all 39 records. So to sum up, we took a look at the single fit test report window, probably the most common report function to use and probably the easiest. And we also reviewed the more extensive reporting functions such as those in the Select Reports window. Looking at those reports that are auto-populated through the FitPro software and discussing how to create a new user-defined report, and also walking through the steps of how to modify a report after the effect. I know I mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again. Nothing you do here is going to affect the data, so you can feel free to go in, adjust these reports, create new ones, modify reports, what have you. Everything can be undone. It's perfectly safe. If you have any questions on this course or any other questions related to the PortaCount Pro Respirator Fit Tester or the FitPro Fit Test software, here are some very good links for you to have where you can find some resources to help you out. And again, you can contact me via email at john.morton@tsi.com. Thank you very much for watching.